What is up, bros? Josh here. In today's video, we're going over the Tier 8 currently work in progress USN Cruiser, the Montpelier, and you may ask yourself, what exactly is the Montpelier? So, what exactly is the Montpelier? Well, just by looking at the ship itself, it looks just like the Cleveland, and that's because it is. It's basically a Cleveland clone. We just saw this with the Yukikaze and the Kagero being part of the Azur Lane collab, but still, the Montpelier has a little bit different stats, and we will go over those just briefly. Almost everything is the same besides the hit points as well as the main battery. So the hit points are going to be just a tad higher, 37,500, and if you go over to the Cleveland, 36,900, so 500 more HP, and the main battery on the Cleveland is 6.5 seconds on the reload, and if you click over to the Montpelier, it is 7 seconds. Now, one of the stats that they don't show in game is Sigma, and the Montpelier is as a Sigma of 2.15 and the Cleveland at 2.0. So what exactly is that? Well, it's the consistency of the shells, so to me it feels more accurate. I know people will kind of slam me with that's not what Sigma means, but it's just the consistency of the shells. And even though the numbers are pretty different, it does actually feel, I felt it. I definitely did feel it. Now, obviously, when you play the Cleveland, as well as the Montpelier, when you're playing the Cleveland, you feel like you're going to be missing, or I wouldn't say missing, it's shooting a lot of shells, but it didn't seem to be the tightest. I actually did quite enjoy the Montpelier when I was playing it. However, for the captain, though, we will be using an inertia fuse captain, and throughout the entire video, we will be using this captain, just so you know. And with inertia fuse, AFT, and concealment expert, just so you know that we are running an inertia fuse captain. And then these are all the extra buffs right here. Main armament mod 1, we're running the bonus defensive AA, and then the module as well as propulsion. This is very nice for USN. Concealment, of course, and then the consumables are all the same. You have all the tools, and then we're just running some extra stuff. No extra flags besides the detonation flag. But let's dive back into the gameplay. Well, just like the Cleveland, since it's basically a clone, you're going to be playing it just like the Cleveland. And then, as I said, the dispersion on this ship, well, not the dispersion, the Sigma on this ship. So I know I'll probably slip on what exactly this is, so I know before everyone slams me in the comments for saying Sigma and accuracy, blah, 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 dispersion, they're not all the same. I'll probably slip on it a couple times this game because you just talk about it so quickly. But the consistency of the shells on the Montpelier, I actually quite enjoyed. Now, in the video before when we did the Yukikaze versus the Kagero, I just didn't see the reason in it. I didn't enjoy it. I don't like playing that playstyle. I enjoy the Cleveland playstyle, so I was really excited about this ship. Well, actually, I wasn't super excited about testing this ship because it seems so identical. Okay, a little bit more consistent on your shells, but you have a slower reload. Is it going to be worth anything? I actually quite enjoyed this. I enjoyed this game. We had a monster game, and even being bottom tiered, I feel like it even up tiers pretty well because of the situation you play. Now, we are on tiers of the cruiser, tiers of the desert, and so you got to pick a couple spots basically going in as a this style of USN ship. You're either going to go here or you're going to go over here. So this is usually gets you killed, so I picked this spot anyway, try to set up a nice little AA platform, and then shut down here. Again, just like the cruiser, you have 9-kilometer radar, so we're going to try to set up the middle, or we could potentially shoot down some planes as well as lock it down with radar. But the ship itself, though, it doesn't seem like a lot, 0.15 on the Sigma, slower reload. It doesn't feel like a lot, but I could notice it. You will see with the dispersion that, again, we aren't running aiming system, so we are losing 7% on our dispersion for the extra AA. But definitely did notice it, and I really enjoy it. Now, with the Cleveland, I usually run the extra AA bubbles anyway, the flak, so I don't get the 7% there. But still, something that you wouldn't think would be too big, you definitely would. You definitely do feel it, or at least I felt it may have been just a good game or just a good RNG roll or something like that. But definitely did notice throughout this entire game. But as a USN Cruiser, you're not going to be doing too many exciting things early game. You're going to try to set up that trap and then hopefully start farming some damage without getting obliterated by battleships. As you can see, though, we are bottom tier. There's a CV. I wanted to show off the AA if I could. And then we have a couple big battleships, Montana Republic, Musashi, Massachusetts Vanguard, but that means we also have a good chance of farming some damage. So we are detected here, and we are going to start shooting it up. So I had I mean, that feels pretty good, you know. To me, you can hit a lot of shots like that with the Cleveland, so I know it's not too crazy. And, you know, they followed up with like a salvo like that. It may just feel kind of normal. It felt good throughout this game when I was shooting the guns on this ship. They just felt like, I wouldn't quite call them lasers, but they did feel pretty dang good for this style of ship. Normally, when you are actually shooting a fast firing ship, and that was my bad on that salvo, is you tend to kind of be all over the place. It's not the cleanest dispersion you normally get, but you make up for that because you are shooting so many shells. This, it just felt like where I was going to aim, it was hitting. And obviously trying to find a spot to not get obliterated here. But a little unlucky on that. I think we missed a couple salvos, and I think I had just played a ton of games in another ship, so I was instantly retraining myself to get back to the USN Arc and the USN lead time, so it took a bit. Especially, you ever have that where you play one style of ship a lot, and then you switch over to an Arc-y ship, and then it's just like, oh my god, you got to relearn the game really quick. I think that was this, but throughout this game, ended up being a long game. Definitely did have the ability to relearn it. But again, trying to find, this is pretty typical USN play. You find a spot, you hopefully shut down some angles, hopefully stay undetected when you fire, and try to be as good of a shutdown area, basically like a no-fly zone, no radar, no DD zone, stuff like that. Anything pushes in, you're going to punish it with that DPM that you have, and sadly watch some of our tier 10s just get absolutely obliterated on this as we try to carry this game bottom tier. But still trying to not get smashed. As you can see, we are basically surrounded by a couple of good firing arcs. We have the Musashi here, Republic here, so I can't go this way, can't go that way. Vanguard here, and then a couple of the guys from the streamers while we're playing this game, but didn't want to get obliterated. So we're going to open water just a tad and hopefully try to help take out the Yukikaze, because if we can, even if we lose a couple ships, nice little dev strike right there, that's always fantastic. Losing a Hindenburg though, so we traded a Mogami for Hindenburg, not the best, and we didn't get too much damage on that Shima as well. But really just trying to get that center, even if we lose a couple ships, because we are a tad outnumbered on that side, and it's Yugumo versus Lightning and Shima. Can have some trouble there, but still trying to figure out how to get the lockdown on the middle of the map and still try to not get obliterated by the Moscow, Republic, all these kind of things, because we are bottom tier, and our DD got picked out by the Worcester, and so we're going to try to push him back a little bit if he can survive. And still, I really enjoy the Cleveland. So obviously this ship, it's still work in progress. Their stats are subject to change, and so we probably won't see too much of a change when it comes live. If this is part of the Azur Lane collaboration, we'll probably see a ship that is pretty similar to the Cleveland. A good example is something we saw in the past with the was it the tier 6 the Graf Spey, the tier 6 brain fart right there. Graf Spey was basically the identical ship for the other collaboration they had, so it was basically identical, but they were able to kind of just give it the other camo and stuff like that. So this, we won't probably see too much of we won't see too much of a different ship, but hopefully we see something. See, I held my shot right here. I remember specifically thinking about that. It just did not kill off our friendly DD, so he could get it. He got us a pretty good smoke, and boom, there we go. Pretty much wrecking in the face. But now we have a good smoke right here, and if we can hopefully not get torped by that Shima, we actually have a pretty good spot to cause some damage to these guys if something's within my range. But 1 kill so far, 4 planes shot down, 47 main battery hits, and 1 incapacitation. And we're taking down the middle cap. So as long as our team can get a little pressure on one of the sides, looks like our left side is probably the one we should probably win. We'll end up having a decent chance. Also, we didn't run any extra flags, so we could technically have gotten a tad more damage when it comes to, and down goes our Yamato. So let's just look at the scoreboard real quick. We've killed a Yukikaze and a Mogami. They've killed a Yamato and a Hindi. So we do have the DD advantage, but it is a CV game, so those could go pretty quick. But we need to kind of catch up a little bit. They also did have a sync drop, which was a bit of a bummer, but we were able to kind of work them down. Now the Republic is a good little chance to farm, but I do need to kill, obviously, target selection, take out the radar ships as much as you can, so working on that Worcester is the priority. Worcester, kill that Worcester, you know, kill the Moskva, and then open that setup so our destroyer can get that Fletcher if he goes for it. Now, a long-range drop by the Implacable. Is it Implacable? Yeah. So that was actually a pretty good drop by him. So I actually had to move out of my smoke, my wonderful safe home compared to everything else, and we're still going to keep pumping out damage. Now, when you get situations like this, this is what you're kind of going for. You're looking for spots to fire without being detected. Now, the Cleveland doesn't have that long of range. What it does is have a very fast reload time, and you have a lot of DPM you can put out. So constantly looking for situations, and our Iowa just got that kill, so that's awesome. And the Republic just shot, so we know we're kind of open for a bit. But I don't need the Repub. Our Repub also has a very fast reload. Getting tagged by the Henry. And also the Wooster took some big damage there too. So I was hoping that the Henry wouldn't get us in trouble right here, but we got kind of lucky. And he's going to be firing there as well. I think the Henry ends up making a bit of a misplay late game, but it'll be all right. But still, this is another perfect example too. Finding a rock that really works, and look at that, man. You still, I mean, basically a lot of the things you get with this is just going, oh man, look at how this Cleveland plays. The only things that are different from this ship currently are the consistency of its shells, which I kind of did feel. I honestly didn't feel the second or the half-second slower reload. Really didn't feel it at all. It felt like I was playing a Cleveland that was just more accurate. So if that is the trade-off, I think I'd gladly take that. I think I would take more shells, and I was kind of talking in stream about that too. I wonder what the damage output difference is if your Sigma is 0.15 more, but your half-second reload is your half-second slower reload. I wonder how many shells or how much damage you end up doing more of. So it may not even be possible to do that math, because who knows how many shells you'll actually end up hitting. But I didn't feel I will take that small trade for what is actually a pretty big trade. So you're trading away whatever it is on your reload, whatever percentage is on your reload, for a pretty big increase on your consistency of your shells. So if you're getting one extra shell hit, that could be an extra fire. If you're getting one extra citadel, there's all these kind of trade-offs that you could do with this, and I was actually wondering if that trade-off would be good in almost any situation. So I did enjoy it. I did like it, and we're able to kind of push up and be a bit of aggressive. It feels great to be kind of a bully at low tiers. Now, I know a lot of people don't like this map, but if played correctly with this ship, look at all these things that you're knocking out your angles, and you'll see me kind of just not take damage this entire game because I get into spots that I'm firing, and as long as we have a DD advantage, it's 3 destroyers versus 1, as long as I'm not getting spotted by planes, I won't really get spotted by their ships. So that's something I was really trying to look for, being very meticulous, very patient. This is something I've honestly been working on as a player myself, and working on being patient, working on getting into spots that will help me set up for USN style cruisers, because this is a type of cruiser that, especially in the higher tiers, I'm not very good at. This is one of my weaker classes, and it's just because I don't like being super patient. I like firing all the time. I tend to like what I would consider open water ships, which would be like the Hindenburg, the Zhao, the Henry, stuff like that. I don't like the kind of slower, passive play style that comes with the, and I was trying to talk to my Henry here, if we could potentially, if he had angles on that DD, we could pop that radar, and then he could put some shots in, but he did not talk anything, and he makes the kind of a complete misplay right here. Don't know what they were really thinking, besides maybe they just wanted to get into the next game or something. But we get a pretty good spot to farm right here. Obviously, using and abusing our very short range. Musashi, Montana aren't going to do that. If he rotates this way, we obviously know that something could come this way, and we would be able to pop radar. But we didn't shoot, so I figured that the Henry would have had spots on him. I thought the Henry was actually going to curl north. He would have been able to put kills on that, but as long as we can hold this down, we will have a better spot compared to the Vanguard for shooting and hopefully lobbing shells over that island. And again, our Henry made a pretty big misplay. Lightning goes down to 288. Maybe I could have gotten to a bit more of an aggressive spot, but again, I'm playing very passive because I know it's super close. They have some pretty damn solid players, and I'm not sure how the rest of the team is going to go. And I ended up missing, or I ended up not being able to get the angle. I kind of put some faith in my teammates to hopefully get that. We lose our kid. That the Monty ended up taking him out, but the Monty is extremely low, so kind of a 1-for-1 trade. It's fine trading destroyers right now. Their DD can't really do too much as long as I'm kind of holding this down, again using that spot. And again, like right here, I don't know why our Hindenburg, or I guess he can't really control high tier players, but turns completely broadside to that just gives away his ship. So bit of a bummer. A lot of our tier 10s, or a couple of our tier 10s kind of didn't play too well. Our Hindenburg, again, YOLOing into the start of the game. And what was it? Hindenburg, and we lost the Yamato super early too. So a bit of a bummer, but don't worry. We have our tier 8 Montpelier, and we're just farming damage. This is what I love about this ship. When you get into that spot, I love being this guy. I hate playing against this guy, because once you get into that spot and you can use and abuse those arcs, and use and abuse the advantage you have. Again, for some reason, our gearing wants to now give away his ship. I don't know what's going on. As I say, like we just had 2 tier 10s absolutely just give away their ships. So this is going to be a bit of a bummer. Right now we're trying to communicate with our Implacable, and I was trying to split up and get fires on both of them, because hopefully if we can get a fire on one ship, that means that our CV, basically we're trying to rotate repairs. Now I got a little nervous here. I got actually pretty lucky. This is propulsion mod helping me out a little bit. I thought we maybe would have snagged that. That's why I run propulsion mod, to move as fast as possible. But right now it's 3 battleships, 1 destroyer with 200 life, versus we have a couple battleships. Our CV, well, obviously they have a CV too, but we have the middle control, and we're just kind of waiting for we're waiting to see what their CV ends up doing, what he starts to strike, and trying to pump out as much damage. I'm trying to get a spot where I can reposition, and talking with my CV div mate on how to get into a spot where, or what he's trying to focus, and then I can then start putting some pressure on. We're gonna pop the Hydro, because we know the DD is probably close, and we know that he's at least in this area because we aren't capping. So we're getting a lot of information. Honestly though, one thing I probably would have done, I kind of had to play that aggressively. He had to hold down the caps, which he is, and so, but he's just in such a tough spot with me being here, me having sonar, me having radar. I only have 1 radar, so I gotta make it count, but boom, right there. I don't think I would have done this. Obviously he went way to the other side, so he played it correctly. I don't think I would have gone in. There's no real reason, because they kind of win the long term fight, because our CV is in a bad spot. They're pushing, and them having a DD. Now our Yugumo is pretty healthy too, so I'm trying to push over there to help our Yugumo out, and he did a really good job. He went all the way to the other side, so extremely smart play on this very aggressive play, and ended up getting to a spot where he kind of pinched himself, luckily, and we got some information from this team by what he's doing. So he dropped the fighter. That means pretty much that, of course, the DD is going to be there. He's protecting the DD, so it can't get struck, and hopefully our CV can stay alive. But Yugumo is one of those Yugumos that fires his guns, so props to him. And I thought I was going back to port right here. One of the things though, just kind of talking about this, I got pretty lucky too. So that's one thing why steering gears could probably be nice, but I think overall with this ship, since you tend to shoot. Now, a lot of people were asking why I didn't, this was, I think, a spot that, like, people are asking why I didn't drop AA consumable. I have no idea, actually. And it may even be the next one, but I think, oh, I was waiting for Torps, because I would rather drop down Torps. I had 4 AA consumables, could have easily popped it there. But right now, we're in kind of a dire situation. Our CV's in a bad spot. He can maybe hold them down. Luckily, he's pulling one of the battleships really far out, but I need to kill this Vanguard. Our Yugumo can kind of go crazy. Their CV's kind of deplaned. So as long as we're kind of capping that, the Musashi is in a spot though where he can hold down the cap. Our Monty at the edge of the map, still kind of angling away, doing what he can. But really, I'm kind of open water at this point, and we need to get a kill. We're going to lose our CV, and they have a couple ships that are pretty healthy too. But overall, playing this ship, it felt like a Cleveland. It's going to be extremely similar to the Cleveland, no matter what version it gets into. The Cleveland, it's going to be basically that. I don't see what they can really do other than kind of what they have for making a ship like this, because they're not going to want to make something completely new, and that's what they'd have to end up doing. So this is also something you can see. The DPM of this ship versus Vanguard is insane. Again, don't really feel the reload. It feels just like a more consistent Cleveland, and we can watch our Sigma just go through the roof using it, and watch our DPM on the broadside. So a nice little 6K salvo gets that fire, And man, we just had a killer game this game. Nice little 10k salvo in what, 15 seconds plus our fire damage. So felt pretty good with this ship. Felt very comfortable in this ship, but it's because it's kind of the same thing. Although I like the trade-off. I like the consistency. It may have just been a placebo or something where I just felt like I was more consistent on my shells. It may have been 100% that, maybe just had a good game, but it felt better than the Cleveland, as small as that can be. It just felt better. So a nice, our Alabama actually ended up rotating back. They ended up holding this down. Our Montana extremely low, and the Massachusetts B over there. Basically, they would have been really tough for them to come back. We just held the middle too long. And with a 400, almost a 400 point lead, it's going to be really hard for them to kind of come back. And the Massachusetts, I probably could have gone over there and killed them in time. But as you see, only 40-some seconds left. So an overall pretty nasty game with this ship, but it's a Cleveland. So it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing with these ships, the finalized version. I'll be honest, I like this more than I did the copy pasta of the Kagero, the Yukikaze, another part of the proposed Azur Lane collab. So again, this is work in progress though, so stats are subject to change, and this is something that we could see a different version of. I don't actually mind this, but if this is something that ends up being finalized, you kind of have to put the is it worth it kind of thing, and if it does, I'll do another video on that, obviously, when we get the final version. But it felt good this game because I enjoyed the Cleveland. It just felt like a Cleveland. It did what a Cleveland could do, but I'll be honest, I kind of liked having the shells being tighter and more consistent. There's nothing wrong with that. But overall, a really fun game. 181,000, a decent amount. Of course, it's a tier 8 premium, so that's only with the camo. So 800,000 credits, some good plane kills, almost 300 target hits. Again, I wonder what would be the difference, right? That's the math I'm really interested in. Is the half a second slower reload made up by the more consistent shells? That's something I actually don't know, but that's something I'm wondering if you make up for it, and I bet you honestly do. But a good little spread though. We got a 1 kill, that's all we needed. A bunch of damage farmed out. We actually didn't even take that much damage, but there's the base XP. 3,000 base XP, bottom tier, easy peasy. So that was one thing that was pretty cool. 3,000 base XP, anytime you get 3,000, that's freaking awesome. And ended up playing pretty solid. So it's always a bummer to see their bottom 4 are Gearing, Henry, which survived most of the game, Hindenburg, and Yamato at 400. That's always a bit of a bummer. And there's the damage we did against all the other ships and whatnot. But anyways, guys, that's it for me. That's the Montpelier, the tier 8 USN premium cruiser. Again, work in progress. So stats are subject to change and probably going to end up being part of the Azur Lane collab. But anyways, guys, that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.